Hello everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. In today's sessions, we are only focusing on the two new services, the Intel Extractor and the return comparisons. The Intel Extractor was previously available for the individual tax return. Now the service is extended to all the other tax returns. So you can filter your search criteria for returns lodged within GovReports and generate a report of targeted clients for consultations, featured services, or segmented work. And the lodged tax return comparison so you can easily identify advisory opportunities for clients. Before we start, can I get a raise of hands if you can hear me? Making sure. Thanks, Simon. Thanks, Barbara. Cool. The session is recorded, so if you miss anything, if we haven't covered something, you can also you can ask the questions, or if you missed it, you can revisit the recording. Presenting today's session is Sandeep Gopalan, our GovReports product manager responsible for product design and implementations. Sandeep has been part of the GovReports technical team since 2008 and, well, the very beginning of the company's software development journey. So without further ado, I will now pass the control over to Sandeep, who will demonstrate these two new services. Thanks,
Thanks,
Sandeep.
Tiana. Thanks, Tiana. Right. So in today's session, as Tiana mentioned, that we'll be covering up with the tax return comparison and also the Intel Extractor. So what I mean, in the previous webinars, what we have done is that just we have went on the high level of the tax return comparison and also the Intel Extractors. But in today's session, we'll be deep into the couple of features what we going to cover up today, and what are the options available between tax returns, and also what are the staff member access, how to download a report. So we'll be going into detail about the Intel Extractor and also the tax return comparison. So also Tiana mentioned that in the last financial year, so we had the Intel Extractor only for the individual tax returns based on the requirement from most of the tax agents request that we have activated all type of reports included in the Intel Extractor. Right. So while we are just covering up each sessions, I would recommend that it is just in case if you have any questions, I would suggest you to just type in the questions on the question section so that we can answer while we are doing the session, and Tiana can help me with the questions and then we can answer that. Right. So let's jump into the tax return comparison first before we go into the Intel Extractor. So tax return comparison. So this one, even if you could see that the tax return comparison, it is new in the GovReports. We haven't implemented anywhere in the other type of tax return, including even in the individual tax return previously. So this one was requested by one of the, the big four tax agents, organization firm. So which they want that to be like a comparison. And what we have done is, after analyzing that, yes, it is a great features that we can include in the GovReports. So it means that, so you can have an options up to 3 financial years to compare the tax return for a client. There are different ways that you can do the tax return comparison. For example, so this is one of the tax agent's account. So the main administrator tax agent's account, which I've just logged in and just logged in. So where you can see all the, from the login, go to the clients menu from the left hand side navigation, and where you can see all the client details. Like for example, today I'm just going to pick up one of the individual client. So where the first client, I'm just clicking on the client's name. As I mentioned, there are two ways that you can do the comparison. One, from the client's profile. Client profile is nothing but like when you go to the client's list and clicking on the client details, client's name on the right hand side where you can see the details. That's the client profile, we call it as. So where you can see under the 3 lines with the box, where you can see the ITR, IITR comparison report. This will be changed based on the entities, I mean the company's structure. So in this case, it is an individual sole trader. That's why we have the IITR comparison report. At the same time, if you go for a company, so you can see the CTR comparison report, or it's based on the business structure, whether it is a company, trust, partnership, or self-managed super fund, or an individual. So these menus will be automatically changed. So in this case, going with an IITR comparison report, just clicking on the IITR comparison will give you an options. So for individual tax returns, you can do the comparison from 2020 onwards until the last financial year. In the upcoming, when we release the tax term 2025, you'll have the 2025 as well. So the maximum, as I mentioned, maximum 3 financial years that you can select to do the comparison. Just in this case, I'm just for going with that comparison. Select 3 financial years and click on the compare. So just clicking on the compare will generate a report which will take you to a different screen. The same thing you can do that in the tax return. For example, if I'm preparing a 2025 tax return or 2024 tax return, and while I'm on the off way of preparing the tax return for a client and just want to do the comparison, there is an options where you can just go to the on the top right corner, just click on the report and then comparison. I'll just cover up that after this one, just showing up the first comparison for this client. Clicking on the comparison, so which will take you a different screen. It just standalone different screen, which will have on the top, like on the left hand side top left corner, you can see the individual tax return comparison report and also which client it is. You don't want to worry about, I mean, if you're just jumped into this page and if you want to know which client that you're doing, on the top left corner you will have the client's name, and also where you can see on the just gray shade on the top you can have the client's name and also the TFN. This TFN would be masked based on the settings on your account, and you can see the client's personal details like the date of birth, residential status, and also the postal address and also the residential address. Where you can see that on there is another thing on the header where it's mentioned about the date, on which date this comparison report has been done. Right. So, which I've selected 3 financial years. So where you can see, I mean, it has been categorized into different sections, the report. On the left hand side, you will see all the label items, which the values are available. And the next one would be like the financial year 2022, 23, and 24. In this case, so where I can see like the comparison. So, for example, Australian government pension and allowances on the label item number 6, which has a value of same value where there is no changes. If there is a changes between the last 2 financial years, for example, between 2022 and 2023, there's a box next to that which will denote that whether it is an I mean going up or down. So if it is the values are going up, then it will be having a green arrow, up arrow. So when the values are going down comparatively with the last financial year, then you will have a red down arrow, the comparison. When the values are same, then you can't see any differences. So which the tax return comparison is available only for the main form at the moment, and you can do only the comparison on the main form only. For example, and the other thing is that, so for example, if the values are available on the 2023 but not in the 2024, in that case what happens is the label would be available on the left hand side. The 2023 will be blank and 2023-24 will be available, then it will have the values. So in this tax returns, where you can see all the values like the salary and wages, deductions, losses, all the kind of the main form, the amount figures, the amount values which will be available over here. And also down the bottom, it shows the taxable income as well. So, and one more thing, like the main thing is that to do the comparison, the tax return needs to be within the GovReports. Doesn't matter about the status, whether it has been lodged or valid or a draft, you can do the comparison between different financial years, which will have a medical levy details as well, and also the spouse details down the bottom. And also where you can see in this individual tax return, so where you can see like income test. Yes, so over there under the income test you can see the adjustment taxable income, so which shows as a down arrow. It means that compared to the last financial year the value is going down. So this comparison report that you can just do the when you're preparing the tax return, or just in case if you want to just give a tax estimate to the client, that would be helpful for you doing the comparing with the last 2 financial years, what is available in this current financial year. It will be more useful. So, and also these sections on the left hand side, it will show only the values when the data has been entered in the tax return. For example, the salary and wages. So it starts from the item number 6. Item 1 to 5, there is no values. That's the reason that it's not appearing on the tax return, the comparison report. So just scrolling down the bottom where you can see all the values with the available on the tax return, just enclosing, and down the bottom you can see the tax estimate as well for the different financial years. The same report that you can just download in a PDF copy. So just clicking on the top right corner, you can see the print button on the top right, so which will allow you to download a PDF copy to your local computer. So this is the one where you can see the comparison report. So it will be have a same structure where you can see that on the screen. So which will have, you can download in the PDF format and you can share with your clients. So the only difference between the user interface and then the PDF copy. So the arrows over here at the, the which denotes the increase or decrease on the values will just have an, on the PDF copy, which will have a small down black arrow and up arrow. But in the user interface, it will have like an red and green arrows. And also we have a close button on the top right. So this close button have two different kinds of functionalities. One, when I'm just preparing the comparison report from the client's profile, which will take you back to the client's profile, or if I'm doing it from a tax return, so opening up a client's tax return 2024 and doing the comparison closing, which will just take you back to the tax return itself. So now in this case, I'm just going to close this. Closing the tax return comparison will take you back to the client's profile. Let me quickly jump into the tax return. This is one way of doing the tax return comparison just from the client's profile. Now I just want to go to the client's tax return, so which in this case the 2024 has been lodged, and you can see for the same individual client 23-22 has been successfully lodged, but the 24 is still pending as a draft. I'm just going to under actions, going to edit this tax return. Just clicking on the edit will take you to the tax return. So this is the tax return. This is one of the, everyone in the GovReports should have a familiar with this one. If you're not familiar, so we have done a webinar, last webinar related to the new structure of tax return and the navigations and what are the features available on the new look and feel of tax returns. You can just watch that webinar as well. And so when we go to the reports on the top right on the new look of tax return, so where you can see the compare down the bottom, the last menu on the reports where you can see the compare. So this will, when clicking on that, will take you same back to a selection of the financial years, selecting the financial year. So you can do that for the 2 financial years, or you want to do that only with the 2024, you can just, there is an option, so you can just prepare that type of the structure, the tax return, in a different way. So in this case I'm just going with the 2022 on the 2021 and 23 and 24. So this is the tag, it's going to be the same way, so the same structure which we come from the client's profile, it will take back to, prepare the generate the report. So, and also while when you're doing the print, I mean like PDF copy, so the PDF copy will have also have the date when it has been generated on the top. So, and also you
Um,
can see that on the
Sorry,
PDF
Sandy.
copy, the TF1 has been already masked. Yes, Diana, is there any questions?
I noticed that you there's a pen and there's highlight and text that you can add on the top bar, just on the screen, that screen earlier. So does it mean that if I can also mark where the changes, or to get clients' attentions, and add a comment on that, or highlight it if I want to the some I want the viewers to address it, just there on that bar on the top right.
Top right.
So
Sorry, Diana,
yeah,
can you just tell
it's
me
at
which one is
edit,
that?
top
Edit.
right of the screen. You got a pen, you got the T for in terms of text.
This
Is that
is a, I mean like Adobe Reader Edit. This is not the
right?
GovReports one. So this is
Right.
like a browser tool.
Okay.
So this is Adobe Reader tool. So which you can do that.
Okay.
Highlighting, you can do that. This is out of GovReports, not within GovReports,
All right. Got it. Thank you.
right? So you can do that, but this is outside of GovReports. So within GovReports, that's what I'm just mentioned, that we have an arrow mark. So that will denote that what is just the difference between the financial years. Oh yeah. Just closing that. So any questions related to the individual tax return comparison before we move on to a different, I mean like the non-individual tax return comparison? Let's pick up the company tax return.
Oh, it's all good.
All good? Excellent. So as I mentioned, so when you do the comparison, so which if the reports are not available within the Gov reports, then it says the report not available, and then it won't allow you to select the comparison button at all. The checkbox, you can't select the checkbox. Right. So quickly, let me just exit from the tax return and go to one of the company tax return. So I mean, then I will go on to a different, I mean, like Intel Extractor. I've already prepared one of the tax return, company tax return for a company. Yeah, there you go. So which 2023 is in the valid status, and the 24 is in the still in the draft, which is still doing the preparation. Either I can jump into 23 to do the comparison, or to 24 I can do the comparison as well. So opening up the report, just click on the edit on the
So
report
just
profile.
clarify. So just clarify, Cindy. Even if I haven't launched it, I just prepare it, and I can use the comparison features.
Exactly. That's what I told. That doesn't matter about the status. So it can be in, I mean, to do the comparison, the report can be in the draft, valid, or lodged, any status that you can do the comparison. Right. So which I've just already prepared some of the, I mean, the 2023 company tax return, and which is in the valid status. And now I'm preparing the 2024, just in case if the clients are coming at this, I mean, not lodged to 2 financial years, and then they want to do that at the same time. So you can just prepare the 2023 and then 2024, go to the reports. After doing the data entries, all the save the tax returns, click on the reports and compare. So the individual tax returns, the comparison is available from 2020 onwards. But for all other type of non-individual tax returns, including company tax return, trust tax return, partnership, self-managed super fund, and fringe benefit tax return, so the comparison is available only from 2023 onwards. That's the latest form which has been included. So which I've already, I mean, even though the 2023 structure of our GovReports, the non-individual tax return is in the old look and feel, still you can do the comparison. So we're just selecting the 23 and 24, clicking on the compare. So this report will be just, I mean, we have a limited number of data entries on the tax return. That's why it's just coming up with a short report. Or otherwise, if it is a detailed tax returns where you can see all the values available, figures are available, that will coming up. So it won't be just covering up all the the basic information about the company, like the structure, all the status of the company. Item 1 to 5 won't be covered up, but item from 6 onwards, all the values would be available for the comparison. So in this one, where you can see the sales on the other sales on the goods and services, which has values just going up, and the comparison the on the right hand side, which shows as a green arrow on the top, so which will have when there is a difference between the last two financial years, you can just see all the values covering up. And as I mentioned earlier, so it doesn't matter which, I mean, label is having values on the 2023 but not having on the 2024. In that case, for example, the gross distribution from trust action code, which is available on the 2023 but not in the 2024, where you can see what is available on the 2023 but not in the 2024 would be the blank one. So in that case, it will be helpful for you just to see that what is missing on the, for example, if you're preparing the similar kind of a tax return for two different financial years, and then if you want to see that what is missing on the 2024, this report will be very helpful. Just going down there, expenses and reconciliation tax available, and also the calculation statement down the bottom, so which will show you all the values, like comparison values with the tax rates available and the taxable income and the estimated amount on the due, which will have all the values as well. This value, the entire comparison report is generated based on the reports available within the GovReports. For example, if you're submitting with the taxable income and then the ATO is changing, just in case if there is something, like adjustments on the ATO and then taxable income has been changed, that won't reflect on your comparison report within the GovReports. It means that in that case, you need to do a revision. So once to reflect what is the tax estimate that AATO has calculated, if you have done a revision to that, then automatically the revision comparison report will be done for between the revised one and also with the current one. So when I'm talking about the revisions, the amendment reports, so it doesn't matter how many sequence the revisions that you're doing. So GovReports will pick up the latest one for the financial year that has been selected, and will do the comparison. Right. So this report, it's going to be the similar way. So where you can do that from the client's profile for the company tax return as well. So like a trust partnership and self-managed super fund annual return and fringe benefit, you can just do that from the client's profile itself. This case, which I'm just going to the clients which we have done. Just done the comparison. Going to the three lines with the box on the top right. That's the more settings within the GovReports. Where if you click on that, you will see more details. Like you can see the tax return comparison. So that will give you the company tax return. Right. And the next thing is that it is available for all type of users to do the comparison. There is no restrictions. When the staff member get access to the client, they can do the comparison between multiple financial years. So the only thing is that when a client has been restricted with the passcode, then they need to enter the passcode to access to do the ATO comparison, like the tax return comparison. Right. So happy to take any questions related to the tax return comparison. Tiana, do we have any questions related to the tax return comparison? No? Right. All good. So what will I do? Like I'll just jump into the next feature, so which is called the Intel Extractor. So Intel Extractor. So this name has been just has been like built a couple of years back within the GovReports for the individual tax return. So what like really the Intel Extractor will do is that extracting the report based on the tax returns that are being submitted through GovReports. Like the individual tax returns, when tax return has been submitted, so that automatically the report will be extracted and then available to do the extract. So just in case if you want to reach out to the clients or do the marketing purpose or to find out your clients between like what category they are, whether the clients has a tax return, like the rental properties or the clients has, or foreign income. So you can categorize the clients and you can just generate a report. And also you can just differentiate the clients between different, different taxable income. So you can categorize whether the taxpayer is getting the taxable income between, for example, you can generate a report that taxable income between 200,000 to 300,000, and then you can find out all the client details and what has been submitted, whether they have the schedules, what type of schedules has been included, or what is their taxable income, and then what is their tax estimate, which has been calculated within the Gov reports, and whether it is a revision report or the original one. So it will be a detailed report that you can do that on the Intel Extractor. So this is what I'm talking is about the individual tax returns, which we already have it. And so in this financial year, so what we have done is that we have added for the non-individual tax returns as well. When I'm talking about non-individual tax return, that inclusive of company tax return, trust, partnership, self-managed super fund. Let me quickly jump into the account and show you that. So like how to extract the reports. It is kind of a report builder. So you can just call it as a report builder as well. So we have a fancy name called Intel Extractor, but it's a report builder. So like when to get into the Intel Extractor, so what you need to do is you need to go to Lodgements menu on the left hand side. Under the Lodgements, down the bottom where you can see the Intel Extractor. So the screen would be, if you are already been into the screen, so that would be like a something different where you can see like previously it was select by default it would be selected with the individual tax return, but in now onwards like you need to go to, you need to choose which report name. So over here, the report name means whether it is a company, trust, or partnership, like the tax return name. Then you will get a different kind of search criterias to download the report. Right. So I'm just going to pick up from the individual tax returns and then we'll go to the other type of tax returns. The individual, so when I'm selecting the individual tax return, so by default, you will have a different kind of search criteria. These search criteria would be different for all type of tax returns. When you choose a company tax return, it's different one. For partnership, the search criteria would be totally different, with based on the available values on each tax returns. Right. So what is the useful of this report extraction? As I mentioned earlier, so that you can just reach out to your clients and also you can follow up with the clients with the taxable income or the occupation code. And then so it will just keep preparing for your next financial years. You can do that, the preparations, or you can do them some marketing purpose. You can download and the report and then you can send it to the clients. Or the other way is that you can extract the report and take it to some business, analytical tools, external analytical tools, where we have an options to download in Excel or in the CSV format, which you can just download in the CSV format and just customize according to the analytical tools we can upload. That will give you more like AI kind of features where you can just take it to the analytical tools. So in this case, I'm just going to pick up the individual tax return first. I'm going to choose the financial year. So this one will be support from 2020 onwards, but the tax return, other tax return would have a limitations on the financial years. But for individual tax returns, you can choose from 2020 onwards financial year. I'm just going to choose the 2024. So you can generate the report only based on the financial year. You can't mix up with the financial years. So this report can be generated based on the financial year based, where you can see the residential status, you can generate report for residents, non-residents, and both. By default it will be set as a both. That means that you can just say generate the report for all type of clients. So if I don't want to just do any search criteria, I can just select what type of report, financial year, and then click on the generate button down the bottom, which will generate the report. But for if you want to just have a criteria search like an what I mean also there is an options that you can just filter based on the lodged on means the report that has been successfully submitted to the ATO. So based on the date, lodgement date, you can extract that report. And say for example, if you're doing an during the peak season, you will be doing like thousands of tax returns per day. And then if you want to have an if you just without the lodgement date, if you're generating, it will just extract for all the clients. But if you have the lodgement date for this week, if you want to extracting for a weekly basis or the daily basis, you can just select the from date and to date, lodgement date. So that will filter based on the lodge date. You can generate the report. Likewise, the range. So there is an options between the before the text box next to the taxable income. There is a small down arrow where you can see the range. So which will have an options to write your own rules. Whether whether you range between two different amounts, or you can just go with the greater than. So greater than means just about 300,000, that's taxable, or 100,000, above 100,000 clients that you want to extract, just use that here, greater than. Or there is another option, less than. So these are the three options available throughout, for taxable income, taxes withheld, or deductions, or tax refund, and the occupation code as well. So other than the occupation code, all others are the values range. So which you can just use these options, the range. I would say that like by default it will be on the range. So you can enter values from amount to between two different amounts. And then you can generate the report, individual tax return report. Moreover, over here, so which you can see the taxable income, tax withheld, deductions. Under the tax refund, there is an option with the down arrow. So this one, so which will have an options if you want to find out with the payable clients. So by default it's on the refund, tax refund amount. Or if you want to find all the payable clients, just use the payable amount and then with the range. So with the greater than $1 or $1, that will give you an options to download all the payable clients based on the search. This case, I'm just going to put back to the normal one without doing any filters, so that I can have more details that the reports that are available. This is one of my test account which have the limited number of lodgements. Based on the limited number of lodgements, I'm just going to show that the extracted report. So the last one on the search range, so would be like the occupation code. So this occupation code is the salary and wages occupation code on the individual tax returns, where you can have like a range. So selecting the code range, for example, if I'm just selecting from double two double one to 23 to an 23399, and then I can extract this between this occupation code. So when you type in the occupation code, you can see that type of different kind of occupations, and then you can select from the list to do that, to do the filter options. I'm just going to make it as a blank before I just generate a report. And next, filter options. There is an additional filter options available. So where you can do like an different kind of like check boxes. This is multiple selection options. So if you want to see all the X and help tabs available for the client, so that would just, I mean, ticking the checkbox will bring up all the reports with the, I mean, tax return submitter with the help and the X tab. So likewise, you can see the whether the client has an income statement or depreciation worksheet, medical levy or rental schedules. If there are multiple rental schedules, you can just select the rental property schedules, and then the report will show that how many rental property schedules that the client, I mean, the individual has that in the tax returns included. Likewise, you have the business or trust or partner income. So if you have any kind of incomes that you can choose and you can filter that on addition to the ranges that you're doing the search criteria, and also the medical levy surcharge, other incomes. So if you want to know what kind of what is called other income or the income statements, you can just see the small down arrow next to the, I mean, the question mark next to that one, so which shows that payment summary. The income statement is always the payment summary from an employer, and then the other income. What are the other incomes are included? So when it has an Australian government benefits or employee share schemes, bank interest, dividends, managed funds, other foreign income, all these kind of other incomes. Whether if we want to include that other incomes, you can just filter based on the selections. So if you want to select all the criterias filter options, you can do that. Or if you want to have specific ones, you can select as well. And non-resident foreign income, and also the business income. So if you want to get a sole traders, specifically on the sole traders having the business income, so just choose the business income. That will just filter based on the filter criteria. CGT, foreign income worksheets, other attachments, and motor vehicle worksheets also can be used for doing the I mean like filter the records. So the next, based on the clients, so like so on the top where we saw that like the filter options based on the ranges, the second one like filter based on additional like schedules or worksheet or help or X that are available on the tax return. The third criteria would be the filter by clients. So the client status, so you can just see that you have, I mean, there are two type of I mean status for the clients, whether it is an archived ones or the active clients. If you want to pull out for an archived clients, so if, and also for an active clients, you can just search that, I mean like you can select the options, but if you select as by default it will be on the all, so which will pull for archived. For example, if a client has been already you all submitted a tax return and the client has been just moved from your account, I mean from your tax agent license to another tax agent, or just removed from your agent portal, then you can just archive a client on your GovReports client list, so which the client is no longer your client. And also you can, if you want to extract the reports, you can, that will be allowed you to do that. And if you want to extract only for the active clients, if you made that client as an already archive and you don't want to extract the report, then you can change the client status to only for the active clients and extract the report. Likewise, we have the client tagging. So client tags, this is one of the features which has been included in the client's profile and client list, where you can just group the clients based on the family group or any kind of criteria. So you can group the client, for example, if it is like an sole traders or yeah, I mean like doctors occupation, you can just add, I mean, your tags, and then you can filter the clients based on using the tags. In this case, I think I have a tag name, okay, IAS and BAS, which is not relevant for just pulling out the individual tax return I mean extraction. So that like you just go to the client tagging would be used. For example, if you want to filter based on the clients, you can get that. And so So the next one, like there will be two different options which shows that show TFN. So on the extraction on the next screen, so the result that when we click on the generate, that report will have an like a TFN would be masked. And if you want to download that copy, I mean, PDF into like an, I mean, like not the PDF, the Excel or the CSV report download. And if you want that TFN not to be masked on the Excel, just in case if you're taking to any external analytical tools, which requires that the client's TFN, only then you can compare with what the client base that you have in that external tool. Only the TFN would be the identifier to match. In that case, if you want to show the TFN on the report, then you can select that options. Otherwise, the TFN would be masked on the tax return for the security reasons, and include both the original and the amendment records for the clients. So what happens is that when there are multiple tax returns submitted, like for example an amendment has been submitted for the same financial year with different for the original report has been submitted, and then again and revision has been submitted for the same financial year, that's a sequence one. And again there is one more revision has been submitted with the sequence 2. The original report will be generated only with the latest one. The sequence 2 report will have been extracted. But if you want to have all the three reports for the same client, three rows for the same client, then if you tick the include both the original and the amendment for the same client, you can see the three different rows on the generation. So, okay, it's time to do the generate as well. I'm just going to remove the tax refund with the $1 on the top. Just going to click on the generate. Right. So this one with the for the 2024 financial year, which have like five tax returns has been submitted. So which will show with the CRN. That's a client reference number as the first column on the list, and the client status, whether it is an active client or archived client, the client's name, date of birth, and the TFN. The TFN, if you see the TFN, it has would be masked based on the settings on your account, settings, lodgement settings, report settings, and then you can see then options where you want to hide a TFN. So most of the accounts has been TFN has been hidden. So that based on that like the TFN would be masked. And also you can see the client's the residential status and the occupation code as well, and the occupation description, like what is the occupation on the tax return has been submitted. Financial year, yes, it is a 2024, and we show the financial year as well. Taxable income. So what is the taxable income? Tax withheld, deduction, tax estimate, when it has been lodged, the date that has been submitted to the ATO, and also it shows the revision indicator, which everything has been no. So just in if there is a I mean revision has been submitted with the latest one, that shows the revision. Each header on the table which will have an I mean like a filter, I mean like sorting options. So if you click on the occupation code, that will just filter, I mean like sort based on the ascending order on the occupation code. If you click again, then it will be in the descending order. Same thing. So you can see that the sorting options, when you just put your cursor on top of that, except for TFN, you can see that the arrow on the each I mean the header, which will give you an options to do that. So where you can see just before the CRN, there is a small arrow which is pointing to the CRN, what it is mean. So that will give you an additional information. When you click on that, so that will show you that whether this client has an like X or medical levy surcharge, business income. In this case, you can see like the search criteria, all type of search criteria that will be available, show over, listed over here with a yes or no. In this case, it has an hex with medical levy, and then business income. Income statement is yes, rental income, other income yes, CGT. It's like a pure full packed tax return which has been submitted for this client. So like where you can see all the details, and which you can see compare with just I mean one by one. So when you click for the next client, that would be just gone. So you can just see one by one for each client. And this option is available to download in two different this extracted reports is available to download in two different formats, as I mentioned, like CSV, and also with the Excel format that it can be downloaded. So on the top right corner of the table, where you can say export as CSV and Excel. So these two different formats have slightly, not the slightly one. I would say that there are major difference between two different type of format that we can download from GovReports. The CSV format, so that's like an download one. Are you able to see the extracted one? No, I'll just switch over. Bring that screen back to that. So the CSV format, I'm just going back to, going to share you that Excel one. So the CSV format, which you can see that Intel Extractor. Ah, there you go. So this one will comes with exactly the same. So where you can see all like CRN name until the tax estimate with the revisions, and also see if you could see the other options, like all the other options which will be added as an additional rows on the next to the revisions. So where you can see all the hex medical levy, so where you can have an options yes and no on the right hand side of the Excel file. So which the options previously, which I was telling you, that the show TFN, in that case if you select the show TFN, this masked TFNs would be having like rather than having a masked ones, which will allow you to extract like the original TFN, that you can take it to an external analytical tools to do some I mean comparisons, or can just download that record. Right. So let me just move back to the screen and download the Excel. So Excel would be something like the normal way where you can see the screen, like it is exactly the same like the user interface. Just clicking on the options, and also we have an options to include the options, whether you want to show that like the options in the sense down the bottom over here. Do you want to include these features into the Excel? You can include. By default, it will be included. If you want to just not to include, just untick this small blue checkbox, and then you can download. Clicking on the green Excel, that would download. But in this case, I'm just going to select that and clicking on the download, so which will be processed and then will be downloaded. Let me bring up that screen. So this is how it looks like in the Excel format. And so this one will not have an options where you can do just row bys, like if you're adding the default tool selections like Excel features, that you can't use this in the Excel format, but you can do that on the CSV. For example, enable edit, and this one, if you're just using the sorting or filter options, that cannot be added into that. That will have an just conflict with the multiple rows. We are showing that in the multiple rows. For example, if you could see the name until the revision would be on the row one, and the
Sorry,
row two.
Sandeep,
So yeah,
you stop sharing.
it's not sharing. Oh, sorry. I'm really sorry about that. I just selected. I think it has been. Can you able to see that now?
Yep.
Yeah, got it. Right. So this is how, sorry about that. So like this is how it looks like in the Excel. So where it will have an like multiple rows for the same client, same record. So that's why there you can't use like filter options on each column for the Excel. Can't use that Excel features, but you can do that on the CSV file. If you want to do the filter or use the Excel features, that you can do that on the CSV file, not on the Excel that you have downloaded. So yeah, so this is I mean like the internal extractor. So where if you download for the company, I mean like individual tax returns. Let me quickly jump back to the I mean like the GovReport screen, and I can just show that for other type. Like just quickly show the what are the criterias available for different kind of tax returns. Right. Can you able to see my screen? Yeah, I can see that over there. So just clicking on the back button will take you back to the internal extractor. So I'm changing it to the company tax return. So over here, the company tax return, the search criteria would be totally different from the individuals, where you can see the residential status, company type, consolidated group, whether it is yes or no, business status, and it can be you can select as multiple options there. And so I mean the range would be different, like the tax or total net income, amount refund or amount payable, industry code. So in the individual tax return where I see the occupation code, but in the company tax return it would be the industry code. And the filter options as well, so it is relevant to the company tax returns. What are the I mean, like the worksheet, the schedules values are available. So based on that, so you can see the filter options. It's not only with the schedules where you can see the small business entity or base rate entity. So based on the submissions that you can just pull out all the reports, but down the bottom, like filter by clients and also the other options to show the TFN and other details that you can just have the same like the individual tax return. Let me just quickly generate that and show that how it looks like. So, and also where you can see the entire table structure is different from individual tax return, and the order that we show, like what are the values that we show, is different. So where the CRN name, TFN or the similar ones, on this one has that ABN as well, ABN with the branch number, and residential status with the whether it is a resident or non-resident details, company type, consolidated groups, everything is available. So this one will have an options down there as well, but download from export as, so the same CSV, and also like the Excel format is available. In the non-individual tax return, there won't be an options to exclude the options, but that will be by default, it will be added. And similar way, so you can see you can extract that when you have a multiple lodgement company tax returns, if you want to do the comparisons. So that will be a more useful features to do that, and you can reach out to the clients for any marketing, or if you want to reach out to the clients for the next step that you want to take it for the upcoming financial year, this report will be very useful. Right. So the same thing like companies trust. So this trust would have a different kind of ranges, multiple ranges, like so business income, foreign income, trust like depreciation, total liabilities, all the features. I mean, like it is relevant only for the trust tax returns that you can extract the report. Let me just show you that with the partner. So all the partner details with the criteria, each and every reports are different. So with the same from the same page, you can generate for multiple type of reports. Show that for self-managed super fund. So the self-managed super fund will have a different criteria for the search. Right. So any questions related to the Intel extractor? So which I would just want to add that all, I mean like the clients, the staff member with the access to the clients, they can get access to that. For example, if a client has a role of different kind of roles like a preparer, lodger, or partner, they can extract for all the clients. But custom role staff members, when they do the generate the Intel extractor, they will get access to only the clients that has been allocated to, for them to get access. They can only generate for those clients. I think I've
Okay.
just covered
Yep.
about the Intel extractor in detail about each tax returns. Any questions? Happy to take any questions.
While we're waiting for the questions, can I get a raise of hands if you would think that this features is useful for you this coming tax season? So some or this feature is good for you, likely to be used. Yeah, cool. Well, thanks, Simon. Thanks, guys. Well, it doesn't look like we having any questions coming through. It is pretty straightforward, and in just some in summary of the present or the webinar or the presentations earlier, the Intel Extractor enable you to filter your search criteria for returns lodged within GovReports and generate a report of targeted clients for consultations, advisory, feature services, or segmented work within the practice. And while the large tax return comparison enable you to generate a report that enable you to see year by year tax return items, labels, and so you can identify advisory opportunities for clients. And like all other services that we have in GovReport, it is easy to navigate and use. You can now explore these services and make use of them in the upcoming tax seasons. And we would really welcome your feedback. Um, Okay, so Sandeep, it doesn't look like we have any questions. Once again, thank you everyone. And yeah, we look forward to hear back from you and have a good night. Thank you. Thanks, Sandeep.